Well, that will explain it. Hi, everybody. I'm trying to figure out why it's got to be that camera. I was on the wrong streaming channel. That's where I was. And then, of course, my software died. I had to restart the computer. How's everybody doing? Oh, we've got a lot to talk about, and I don't have a whole lot of time either. I think the most that this session can be is about a half hour. It's a good test to see how many of you guys can be here too, because I'm thinking on a Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Central, probably everyone's probably at work. But hey, no problem. I just had someone who shifted out of the 9 o'clock spot into my lunch hour. And so that opened up this spot. So I wanted to go a little bit more detail into the full moon, which is upon us in just a couple hours for most of us. I know some other countries, obviously, other places around the world having different times, but if this is Central Time, we're coming up on it. About 1:14. That's Central Time. 11, 12. So it's 4 hours away. And as you know from the CIRF report, that it's a Leo moon at 9 degrees 5 minutes. And Leo, well, first of all, the moon, doesn't really like to be in Leo. It's ruled by the sun. And so, but this is what makes it extra special. The sun is in it's in Aquarius, opposite its home sign, and so it's a long way from home, opposite its home, and helping shine some data packets, some optimistic philosophical data packets, I believe, from Jupiter, and shining that onto a crazy full moon. Crazy because, I mean, full moons it brings out the crazy in people. This one extra because Leos need attention. Leos need to be seen. I mean, heck, it's the sun, the home of the sun needs to be seen. I need you to see me. And of course, I'm an Aquarian, so that's why I have traditionally hated cameras and I hated being seen and all that. But I've gotten out of my comfort zone. I'm even starting to do live shows. So how about that? Even I can grow. Okay, so some other things that we didn't really talk about. I don't think I spent adequate time on the trap here. So this is starting now. We are in this alignment currently, even with 4 hours left to go. Many of you you can see around the world, even in headlines, you can see it in some Telegram channels, how people are stuck in this trap. And that's what a T-square is, but this is a multi trap. Okay, and you've got the Rebel and Mars together, 4 degrees away in Taurus, both weakened. So it's a weakened state of, chest beating. But it's I don't know, the little guy or maybe the hungover. These two warriors are hungover right now because they've been, Taurus and experiencing the finer things in life and maybe having a little bit too much fine wines. And so they're a little weakened, but it can be a trap. And if you're translating this into an energy, then it's just that. It's maybe sluggish. It's you're seeing the inevitability of change, but not being able to do much about it. That's kind of what I felt like yesterday. Last evening, I felt this general sense of change, but in a positive sense. And it was more of a collective thing. It wasn't just me having a good day. It was a far different experience like that. All right. So checking in as I see more people coming in here. That's, pretty good. Christina, how you doing? Catherine, how are you doing? Teresa is a Leo. Well, that's interesting. It's going to be an extra special moon. Teresa, what degree of Leo are you? And I assume that's the sun sign, right? Does anybody have a moon in Leo? That would be interesting. All right. So, and Kat, welcome. Saria, welcome. And all the others who've joined. We talked about the trap so far. Don't forget about Black Moon Lilith. Let's see. Let's do the math. There's 7 degrees to the cusp. So that's 13 degrees away. You can't say it just because she's outside of 8 degrees that it's not an effect, but it's going to be some degree of effect. And the closer you get, the more effect it has. I'd say at 13 degrees, not much effect. It is fire in fire, Aries, fire sign. And we have some other stuff. So I don't want to spend too much time in here unless you guys have questions. If you've got questions on the full moon, ask them now, because we had some comments that took us to some interesting questions about Easter. And I was going to show you, if you guys don't know, how to calculate Easter on your own, and you can do that with the help of Google. You'll be able to do that after this session, after this video. All right, the other thing that I wanted to mention, and we did talk about this, I know, but an exact conjunction, I can't, it's 15 minutes apart. So very, very tight conjunction, Venus and Pluto in Capricorn. And so don't be paranoid, but do be looking at relationships, and maybe a sensation of catastrophizing, maybe a big old change up. Maybe this is where the GameStop energy is. I didn't even think about that. Goal-oriented finance upheaval, death and rebirth. Some people are saying that GameStop thing is a threat to the whole financial system. And this is going far beyond the Occupy Wall Street several years ago, like lots of years ago. And some people are comparing that Occupy Wall Street with this. Before they were just laying down or sitting down in the street and occupying space. And does that really affect anything? I'm sure it did. I'm sure it made a statement. But this whole GameStop thing, which, by the way, Julia found some really cool stuff. I reposted her stuff on Telegram. So if you haven't gotten over there and read her material, that one does look like it's more severe than what they're making out to be. I mean, if they are they being what the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, is threatening to shut down those particular stocks or the stock exchange for 30 days to let things cool down, that shows you that this is big. It's a big deal. Let's see. So that could be a very financial thing, but in your personal lives, have the same sort of lookout for just harmony, the peace around you, your ability to feel and emanate beauty, peace, and harmony, that sort of thing. It might feel like you can't. And that might go back to this alignment that is there. There's a lot of strong energies here. It's a very strong thing, which adds to the overall emphasis of the energies, the drama. The whole CIRF this week, the whole CIRF this energy is just drama, and it does get lifted by multiple aspects throughout the week, but none more important than this right here, the full moon in Leo. Okay. Matrixis. I have Sun and North Node at 6 Taurus. Feels like I cannot get out of bed. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, he feels it, or she. My moon and rising in Leo. Wow. Etheric essentials. That's going to be a big energy. This probably today, right? I would imagine. Are you on fire, or maybe even too saturated? I don't know. maybe emotional. I mean, it's the CIRF report. It sounds like for etheric essentials, it sounds like it would be the CIRF drama times a million. Teresa, I'm moving this weekend and I just met someone. Interesting. So it's a rebirth for you. Yeah, very interesting. And congratulations. Christina says, "Hey friends, hit the like button." I agree. Thank you. That's some weird font there. It's hard to read. But thank you, Christina. Moon and Leo, from what I gather. And Rita says, "I just feel angry." Rita. Yeah, there's a lot of anger here, and it's in these holdups, these squares that we've been talking about for so long. It seems like forever. And by the way, just a recap of how long these squares last. Well, the big bulky channel of square is probably another couple weeks, and then it starts going down to, I think, just Uranus and Saturn, and then Saturn will go retrograde and keep that alive for like another year and a half, I think. I mean, it's insane. So like the end of 2022, December 2022, if I recall, that's the first time in a while you will not see any square on the map. And, you know, for most of 2020, we had squares. We had big, hefty T squares. We had a lot of eclipse energy that was funky, but nothing more important than this square profile. There's your anger right there. And it has to come out somehow. And so we hypothesized that if you're having a lot of anger, a lot of pent up energy, all through December, January, and part of February, then the answer could be exert a lot of energy. Go dig a hole or go build a house, or it's go move a bunch of bricks. It's big energy and it has to be eliminated somehow. So maybe a big, what do you call that? CrossFit workout. Okay. All right, let's go to, let me find this. We have some comments. They're really, really great comments. And I wanted to a big shout out to a lot of folks who were trying to work on the algorithm. One of you even said, "Not for me to say," says, "I'm helping out the algorithm, brother. I am so happy." And Brian Adams going nuts on this thing. And so, and it's not just you two. It's so many of you. D, putting out multiple comments. I'm so thrilled. Thank you guys. I'm so serious. Thank you. It's helping. Our channel's growing. And I do think that the end of the inauguration thing and I think a lot of people got disenfranchised and some of them left the channel. That's okay. I hope they start feeling a sense of hope when you start seeing the clear Hollywood drama in a lot of these political events. It's getting so bizarre. I read a Telegram article that now they're wanting, a doctor was showing up on, I think, CNN or Fox News. Doesn't surprise me, but what surprised me was it was beyond Fauci's 2 masks. He was recommending 4 masks. It's just getting so bizarre, so illogical, so like over the top dramatic that I can't help but just solidify my hypothesis that it is literally just a show. It's a literal movie. And I do agree that we can tend to be passive if it's just a movie. And there are people who I think there really are people who are suffering from the alleged executive orders that are allegedly being signed, such as increased medicines now. When Trump brought those medicine prices down, those got lifted back up and elevated to like $1,000 for insulin or something crazy like that. So it is a part of waking up. And I think, unfortunately, there is a real ripple effect in the consciousness in real life, so it's not just a movie, and that also implies that we do need to do stuff. And so even though it seems way over the top dramatic, we still have to call it out. We still have to post on social media. Now, I got a lot to say on that, but I'll move on. I wanted to talk about Bryan Adams because he put so many comments on here. I wanted to reward that by looking at one of these questions. How does Easter look? Maybe a new beginning? So I went and I found some charts. Now I'm going to show you how Easter is derived. First, here's Easter. Easter Sunday. It's always on a Sunday. This one's April 4th. Do you remember last year? I think it was like late April. Why does it change so freaking much? Well, the answer is because Easter is derived by being the first Sunday after the first full moon. Here's the full moon on March 28th. After the spring equinox. And then that's defined by the sun going into Aries each year. That's the spring equinox. So this, and I think that can vary by a day or two each year, but March 20th, this is what the Easter equinox looks like. Keep in mind, because this is going to change quite a bit, the sun and Chiron are the only things in Aries. So just take a snapshot of that. We do have these squares, and yes, there is that Uranus square Saturn. Just by its very nature, I know this wasn't the question. The question was about Easter, but since we're here, the sun in Aries, and the dog's going to start barking because another package is getting delivered. Sun is in Aries, and that is a new beginning. So now that's sort of the nature of spring, because it's starting over anew into Aries. Now, if you actually go into the night sky and look at where well, you can't look at the sun and where it is, but it's not going to be in Aries because that's a sidereal chart. I don't want to go down that road. That's too confusing, and it's not needed here. So we have a couple of trines, a couple of easy energy. You got Mars and Saturn together. You've got Jupiter that is 10 degrees away from Saturn, easy energy over to the moon. You've got a conjunction with Venus and Sun, so we can say there's a new grand cycle for relationships and maybe even finance. That is, remember, that's March 20th, a new cycle in finance, a new economy, if you will. Who knows? That's interesting timing, though. All right, so then we have the first full moon after March 20th is 8 days later, and it's in Libra. There's another finance sign. I mean, it's not just finance, more about close relationships and justice and equilibrium and balance and stuff like that. But also, that's the home of Venus. The Venus that is more finance oriented and worth is going to be Taurus. But anyway, we have a full moon, and that's not quite exact. That's why it's got the segmented line here, but it's close enough. And a lot of lines here, a lot of pointers to the emotions. Emotions are going to be challenged there on that full moon. That makes sense for a full moon in and of itself. You've got a grand air trine on the full moon in March, the first of after the spring equinox. So a lot of good air energy, a lot of logic. Things should be logical, should be disclosed. That would be nice. So then we get into Easter. So to summarize, it's the first Sunday after the first full moon, after the sun goes in Aries, or the spring equinox, right? And here we are. Remember what I said, Aries? Look at that. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 energies, but 1, 2, 3. 3 main planets. You know, the part of Fortune's not a planet. Black Moon Lilith is not a planet. And Chiron is a rock, an icy rock. I think some people say it's a comet or an asteroid. I don't really know. But it's important because you've got part of Fortune right on the sun. This is 12 o'clock, so that part of Fortune will whip right over that sun throughout the day. Is it new beginning? Well, that's the overall archetype of Aries. It's the fire, it's the warrior, but it's a new cycle. And I got to keep track of the time because I can't mess that up. We've got Aries here, and you've got opportunities with, now Mars is not in its home sign. Mars is pointing to a sextile back to the sun in its home sign. So that's real nice. It's an opportunity to really get stuff done in this new cycle. It's very fortunate, part of Fortune, to begin anew, to start a new cycle. So the answer to Brian is that there could be a new healing cycle. There could be a new relational cycle, a new finance cycle. All that's brand new. And so the answer is, even if there's not one given to you as a cycle, then you can start it. And it's very fortunate to start it. Now, the caveat is there's all these squares, and we'll get to those when we get to the CIRF report. But the general gist of this, is that yes, we'll get a new cycle, or we will be fortunate to create a new cycle, especially with this Black Moon Lilith and all these planets and points in the sky are going to be progressing over Uranus. So a lot of change in the air and still some contention to be dealing with, and a lot of tension. These squares still there. So anyway, there's a moon in Capricorn going over Pluto. It's a big old change, emotional states, ending and starting. All right, so that's that. Now let's get back to questions. You guys are talking about the over dramatic new policies or recommendations for testing for the, what do you want to call it? I can't call it the name because they'll get the AI targeting my channel. Easter pagan moon ritual. Sounds good. How many pagans are out there? How many earth-based spirituality do we have out there? I was a benefactor of nature, and I kind of grew up in the woods out in the middle of nowhere. And after the military, I spent a lot of time literally like off the grid, out in the middle of the woods, up in the mountains in Arkansas. And it was healing. It was incredible healing. Opened my eyes. Well, like reopened my eyes. Opened my eyes back up to the auras, the frequencies that are living out with us in nature. And you've got the scalar energies that are a part of this. Scalar energies are this one's hard because you don't have like instruments that can, I don't think, unless we get into the quantum technology, I don't think scalar will show up on any of these traditional electronic technologies, but the hypothesis is that it's mainly out in nature, and it's created out in nature by collisions, but they're not the standard longitudinal waves. They're different, and they are healing, and they change things up. If they're more of an energy, I think they'll be more of like a mix between Jupiter and Uranus. So the scalar waves come in with making things right and changing things at the same time, from my understanding. And you can do this. There are scalar instruments. So they're normally pretty expensive. Some are with quartz. Then you can shine this energy onto your, let's say you're having a pain in your abdomen. You just shine it into the abdomen, and it's just eventual. It will change the order of the electrons, for example, and start healing. And I know it sounds woo-woo, and the jury's still out whether or not that even works. But if it's placebo, that's still a work, and that's commensurate in the quantum world anyway. So anyway, if you don't have those instruments, or are pretty expensive, there's a shortcut, and the shortcut is just open the door and walk outside. That's it. And the more nature there, the more scalar energy that's available. I don't know if like a place like the desert in Phoenix or Las Vegas where there's very little trees, I don't know if that means that there's less scalar energy or not. I don't know. And I don't know if maybe scalar energy can be coming from the universe at large, or if the ionosphere actually keeps that energy from coming in. But I mean, you've got crystals and minerals that are dropping in all the time from space junk. So anyway, that's my take on scalar. If you find that interesting, that's about the limit of my knowledge on it. Although I do use it regularly, it does seem to be healing. And I bet you there was a big component of scalar energy in my time out in the middle of the woods, healing both mental and physical, becoming a healthy person, becoming a lot more spiritual, but a connected person. Okay, we have Saria. My moon sign is in Leo. Saria's probably feeling a lot more energetic today, I would imagine, but almost uncontrollable energetic. Am I right? Live in the desert is full of life. Oh, okay. Terry says I lived in the desert is full of life. I also lived out in Phoenix for a while, out in Avondale. Been out in the I love the desert. I hate to think about, sort of like an economic collapse and having to be out there without food readily available. But I love it, and I can't remember because I didn't know about the scalar energies back then, but Terry seems to think that I'm interpreting, I'm perceiving that she's saying it's full of life, as in it's full of scalar energies. All right, folks, I've got to get going. Let's see if there's any other things. No, I think I covered everything. I appreciate everybody's support. It's warming for me to see, look at this. It's warming for me to see a lot of these comments between you guys. So we're trying to build like a tribe, people that, we trust each other. It's not like we have to have the same ideologies. I want lots of different worldviews. I want lots of different opinions. I don't need to be right. I was a truth seeker for a while, and I still am. It's just I know that the deeper you go into truth just simply means that the further away of the sense that you know everything. It's like you get more and more questioning about everything. A lot of you put some great comments on Dragon, and I haven't been able to respond to those. I apologize, everybody, but keep talking amongst yourselves. Keep talking to your guides. Keep providing the tribe with your insights about what's coming, and let's put out some positive vibes. Get this new life started. The quicker, the better, because I generally am a very impatient person when it comes to goals and visions, especially for a collective vision. So anyway, Terry says, I think this is a great summary. The energetics are amazing. All right, everybody. We will see you probably next Wednesday. I can't imagine being sooner, but you never know. I might do something special this weekend. And thank you. just grateful for all of you. Take care, everybody. All right, now we got to figure out how to get out of here. End. There we go. See ya.